All right, welcome into the show. Writer's Block here on CBS Sports HQ. We got former Saint Marques Colston on the show. We got Todd Fuhrman on the show. We got a great program for you, and it all starts right now from New York City. It's Friday, it's basically the weekend, so let me be the first to say to you, happy championship NFL weekend. We got two great games. Let's start with Chiefs hosting the Patriots at Arrowhead, a game about maybe a future, if not dynasty, competitive team, and a dynasty that is trying to hang on a little bit longer. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, the favorite to get it done, it comes down to the same thing it's come down to all year for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, the young stud in his second year in the league, his first year as a starter, can he handle that different pressure, that rarefied air, that recalibration of the molecules in the air that make things feel different when it's a postseason football game? Probably. Don't bet against it, Patriots fans. At every stage this year, we have talked about in the media and fans, oh, this game is where Mahomes is going to show his youth. Week 2 against the Steelers. Well, when he goes to Denver, that game against the Patriots, and I know they lost that game, but Mahomes was still battling, dueling Tom Brady, game by game, minute by minute, moment by moment, lost 43-40. That game against the Rams, again, another one of Kansas City's losses. I know they had 3 turnovers, but the guy was an absolute beast and an absolute machine. Yes, the Kansas City defense has been suspect in the regular season. Yes, it looked good last week. Yes, there's no Kareem Hunt. Yes, the Chiefs have been cursed for a very long time, going back to Lenny Dawson in terms of winning the whole thing. I believe in Mahomes. Problem is, it's hard not to believe in Tom Brady, too. And that guy has been pretty good. And we can chop it up a lot of ways, his career, how many championships he's won, whether or not, like his owner just said, he's the best football player of all time. It also turns out the weather doesn't daze him. Here's Tom Brady talking about what could be sub-zero weather in Kansas City this weekend.
You know, I play in a lot of games over the years where weather's a factor. So, you know, you just dress for it and you know, hopefully our blood's thickened up enough here being in the Northeast to deal with some of the cold, which I think it has.
He looks so calm. He looks so confident. I know that a lot of people are throwing out the fact that Brady is, 3-4 on the road in the playoffs in his career, including 1-4 over the last 5. But that cold weather actually benefits him, and there's a pretty big sample size that suggests that. When the weather is 20 degrees or colder, and it will be in Kansas City at Arrowhead, Tom Brady is awesome, and you can see the stats there. And that's not a small sample size situation, because when the temperature is 30 degrees or less, he's still 24-4. The reality is that Brady thrives in situations where other people do not. That includes pressure-packed games. That includes really cold weather. There's a lot of other factors, run game, defense, but it's the battle of the quarterbacks, and we all know it. Moving on to Rams Saints, another great game. And for Los Angeles, try to keep it going. For that young, brilliant head coach, Sean McVay, to cap early on in his career, or at least accomplish the ultimate goal, this Los Angeles team has to be able to run the football. We saw it last week. They were amazing in the run game. Todd Gurley is one of the best running backs in the game, statistically second best this year. Had a little help with C.J. Anderson last week. If they can continue to run, they can get it done. Another fun fact for you, when the Rams have Todd Gurley rush for 75 yards or more, they are 9-0. And the last time that did not happen, not the last time, but one of the times this year, where Gurley failed to get that 75-yard mark was against the New Orleans Saints, and they didn't win that game. In fact, that loss earlier in the year, that showdown between these two teams, is going to be a case study for both of these coaching staffs, trying to figure out how to get the best of the other. And certainly, when you hear from Sean McVay, he knows they got to learn from that Week 9 loss.
I just think when you fall behind against such an explosive team, then they can start to dictate a lot of different looks defensively. They can speed it up or slow it down on you offensively. So really, it's just a matter of falling behind and then some of those situational things that we could do a better job of.
I know we've thrown this stat at you, this fact, a lot here on CBS Sports HQ. It's everywhere, but it bears repeating. Drew Brees and Sean Payton have never lost a football game in the postseason when they are together, when they are a tandem at the Dome in New Orleans. And sometimes we study and we focus on the fresh, new, brand new thing, like a Sean McVay, like this Rams team. The Saints have been good for a really, really long time. It's why I love New Orleans in this game. I think they cover. I think they win. I think Drew Brees' excellence, his all-time status, is absolute, and that this is going to perhaps be like John Elway, a reminder that sometimes all-time greats, guys that are the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 all-time at their position, they can win Super Bowls at the end of their career. We saw it from Manning. We saw it from Elway a couple times. I think we're going to see Drew Brees lifting that trophy of, in all places, in Atlanta in a few weeks on Super Bowl 53 on CBS. So give me the Saints. I'm going to go Chiefs. A little hard for me in my Kansas City Chiefs prediction. I worked at the Kansas City Star for a long time. I wrote about that team a lot. My kids were born there. I've been waiting, not as a fan, but as a media guy that likes that fan base. I've been waiting on this Chiefs team to live up to this promise for a really long time. Mahomes is the real deal. The Saints and the Chiefs, Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta. That is my prediction. But you know what? Forget my prediction. How about Marques Colston? I want to get his prediction and his perspective. The former Saint, the incredible wide receiver, the Super Bowl champion. Marques is going to join me here on the show, live, Writer's Block from New York City, when we come back in just a moment. All right, welcome back into New York City. Had the chance earlier today to talk to Marques Colston, the former New Orleans Saint. Here's the conversation. All right, Marques, Super Bowl champion, entrepreneur. Thanks for making time for us.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
So, congrats to your Saints team. They've made it this far. Obviously, playing this weekend, trying to make and win another Super Bowl. The last one they won, you were a part of that team, and if memory serves. Your rookie year was Sean Payton's first year as a head coach. Can you give us some insight when you and maybe some of the guys realized that this coach and the franchise he was going to lead, that special things were coming down the line eventually?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting just coming in as a rookie with a rookie head coach, and it was Drew's first year in New Orleans as well. You know, we messed around and found ourselves in the NFC Championship game, and I don't think any of us really understood how we got there. So pretty early on, we knew we had some really good pieces, and we knew we had a really good core and a good nucleus. And it took us a couple years to really put it all together, fire on all cylinders to get back. But I think we knew pretty early on that we had something special, and we had the right puzzle pieces to make it happen.
Obviously, any team that's playing in an NFC or AFC championship game, they're there for a reason. So that Rams team they're dangerous. They're a very good football team. But New Orleans, you guys have never lost in the playoffs at home when Sean Payton's been the coach and Drew Brees has been the quarterback. Why is that place so tough to play in those situations with those guys as the head coach and the quarterback?
I think it's the perfect storm. I mean, it's a fan base that, you know, is as passionate as it gets. And they make it, you know, extremely difficult on opposing teams coming in. They know when to get loud. So it's a smart fan base too. And Sean just does a really good job of, I think, feeling the momentum of the game and kind of feeling the ebbs and flows of the game, and, you know, making the right moves at the right time to really capture the momentum.
What are, as you, as a fan, as a Super Bowl champion, as a member of that Saints community, an alum, what do you think your team, New Orleans, needs to do to win this game and advance to Atlanta and Super Bowl 53?
I mean, I think this game is going to come down to turnovers. The defenses that can force the turnovers and the offenses that can keep from turning the ball over. I think obviously it's two high-powered offenses. Both defenses are playing well at the right time. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, and to me, it's going to come down to possessions. And the team that, you know, the offense that can hold on to the ball and not turn it over, I think is the one that's going to win.
You know, we talk a lot in the media and fans, and some former players will talk about some guys are gamers, some guys aren't, some guys are kind of the same guy they are in the regular season. Can you maybe pull the curtain back a little bit? What's Drew Brees like when these moments are this big? His demeanor, his impact, what's he like behind the scenes heading into games like this one?
He's it's funny. He's what the team needs him to be. You know, sometimes he gets to feel that, you know, he has to be, you know, a little more vocal and a little bit more motivational. But For him, he's a guy that he prepares at such a high level. He's gone through every possible scenario in his head. He's gone through, every single progression all the way down to the fourth and fifth progression on every single play throughout the week. So he's a guy that comes into the game with the ultimate level of confidence because he's played out the game in his head already. So, the confidence that he exudes, as a leader, it kind of has a trickle down effect, and his he kind of has a calming presence at the same time, just because he's so prepared, and it makes you hold yourself to a higher standard at the same time. So it creates this calmness, but this accountability at the same time, which really works.
We're in an era of some remarkably all-time great quarterbacks. Tom Brady's playing the Chiefs at Arrowhead this weekend. He's been pretty successful. Peyton Manning retired a few years ago. Aaron Rodgers is talented. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And I dove into the numbers over on the radio show that I host, Marcus. And just looking at what Drew Brees has done, it seems to me like there's an argument that as much as he's been celebrated, I'm not sure people realize or appreciate how great he is. If he wins the Super Bowl, or even if he doesn't, where do you think he should rank in that all-time conversation?
I mean, he's got to be high on the list right now. He's checked off all the boxes. He owns, I would think, a lot of the most important records at the quarterback position. He wins games. He's won a Super Bowl. And yeah, I mean, I think you're right. For whatever reason, he just doesn't get talked about in that light. And I think it was an interesting article I read a while back. I forget which publication it was, but it talked about how the world kind of still views him as an underdog. And the reality is, he's one of the greatest players ever played this game. And I wouldn't even say arguably, he has to be one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks to ever play the game at the same time.
And I don't want to oversimplify it, but as a short guy, I like rooting for short guys. Do you think some of it is just he's not as tall as some of these other quarterbacks and people just look at him and don't give him the credit he deserves? Or is that just a short guy like me seeing something that's not there?
No, I think that's definitely part of it. The way that he plays the game looks a little bit different than, some of the other, all-time greats. He doesn't have the huge arm, but, obviously, being at 6 foot on a good day, he's somebody that he just plays the game, I think, a little bit differently. And, to the untrained eye, it may look like he's not performing at physically at a similar level as, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. But again, the numbers speak for themselves. The wins and the success speaks for itself. And, at some point you gotta pick an argument and stick to it. And he wins all of them.
Marcus, like you were the year that you guys won the Super Bowl, Michael Thomas is, if not the best receiver in the NFL, he's in the conversation. He's one of them. And I don't know if you've seen this. You guys have eerily similar numbers from his regular season this year. I mean, it's sort of startling when you look at what he's done, what he's been able to do. What's been your impressions of that young wide receiver?
He's a guy that you can tell he wants to be great. He wants to be the best to ever do it. And from what I've seen and just having a couple conversations with him, from what I've heard, from some folks in the organization, he's a guy that, again, he really prepares at a high level, and it shows on Sundays. So I think you're giving me a little bit more credit. I mean, he's put up some phenomenal numbers his first couple of years, and I've had a couple conversations with him. Just slow down, man. Just let me hold these records for a little bit longer, because ultimately he's going to crush them all. And it's really fun to watch him play. I mean, it's just a physical style, and obviously something I enjoy, because it was something I felt like I was pretty good at.
I like that, though. It's like, hey, Michael, it's cool, bro, but just slow it down a little bit.
Don't make it look so easy.
Right. Give me a little more time. All right, so we know where your heart is, but what's your head telling you? If you don't mind, it's hard. These predictions are hard. We're all wrong half the time or more, but what do you think is going to happen? When you look at this game, what's your best guess?
I mean, I think, just being a player, it's hard to beat the same team twice. You learn a little bit more from a loss than you do from a win. But having said that, I think it's the perfect storm brewing. I mean, it's really hard to win in the Superdome. I think the defense is playing at a higher level now than they were, at points during the regular season. And it's really about peaking at the right time. So I do think that the Saints put together a performance. They don't turn the ball over, and I think they go torture Falcons fans playing the Super Bowl in Atlanta.
A really good friend of mine is a Falcons fan, and I checked in on him. I don't think I realized the rivalry. He's literally, Marcus, losing sleep and went on this crazy tirade about Saints fans in Atlanta. That's a real thing.
It's a real thing, and they better get ready because it's coming.
I'll send him the clip. He can lose some more sleep. He deserves it. All right. I want to ask about the AFC game real quick too. It's just fascinating that Mahomes, obviously Patrick Mahomes, young, has been remarkable. That offense has been incredible, and that Chiefs team gets to play at Arrowhead and host an AFC Championship game there, which is a tough place to play when the Chiefs are playing well. We all know what the Patriots are and what they're about. What do you expect from this football game?
I really can't call it. At first, I thought it would be a high-scoring affair, but then I saw the forecast, and I still think they do, score a ton of points on both sides. I think the Chiefs' defense is just playing really opportunistic right now, and that pass rush is heating up. And no, I think Mahomes, has enough to get it done. So, Saints Chiefs matchup in Atlanta is kind of what I'm thinking.
You know what? I love it. I'm sort of thinking the same thing. Before we let you go, not just a former football player, you're an entrepreneur, including Main Squeeze, which is a juice enterprise. Can you just tell us a little about what you're doing and why you wanted to turn your attention post-career to business?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I was really intentional on while I was still playing. And about a year ago, I hooked up with Main Squeeze Juice Co. And it's a cold pressed juice and smoothie concept, a franchise concept that's based out of Louisiana. And my wife and I really fell in love with the product. Obviously, it's all those things. It's healthy. It's about making healthy choices easier because they all the products really taste good. So it was something that really aligned with kind of our lifestyle and how we live our lifestyle. And, just having an opportunity to meet the management team and really vibe there. We joined the franchise as partners, and, we played a role on the business development side and franchise development. So it's going really well. We just opened up another store, I think our 6th store in Webster, Texas, yesterday. And we've actually got a mobile juice truck that we're going to be launching in Texas as well. So, we're really excited about the growth. Excited to work on a project that's born and bred in Louisiana and bring it to the rest of the world.
All right, well, as my wife can attest, I'm obsessed with smoothies. So Main Squeeze, I'm on it. I'm going to try it. I can't wait. And not just thank you for the time, but thank you for the little barb to Falcons fans. It made me laugh. I really enjoyed the talk. Have a great weekend.
I really appreciate it, man.
Good dude, Marques Colston. Appreciate his time. From one great guest to another, Todd Fuhrman, our Vegas insider, going to join me here on Writer's Block in just a moment. All right, welcome back into New York City. The man behind the Bet the Board podcast, our Vegas insider here on CBS Sports HQ, Todd Fuhrman, caught up with me earlier in the day, gave me his perspective on this weekend's games. I think you'll enjoy the conversation.
All right, Todd Fuhrman, it's always respect with which we bring you on the show, but today I'm going to throw in some deference because I'm not a math expert, but I think 1 and 3 on my parlay last week does not qualify as excellence.
You know what, though, Bill? When you go 1 and 3 overall, it's better to be in a parlay than if you made straight bets on all 4 of those games, because you actually saved yourself money in the long term. It's when you go 3 and 1 on a parlay, that's when it's problematic, because you left all that meat on the table and you didn't take full advantage of seeing the games as clearly as you did.
All right, so as those games unfolded, I said to myself, when I talked to Fuhrman on Friday, he's going to tell me what to do, and I'm going to do it because my hot streak has turned into a cold streak. Let's start with this AFC game just because I lived in Kansas City for so long. I'm interested in it. It's tight. What do you think about Patriots coming into Arrowhead and taking on the Chiefs with the number where it is?
Well, you of all people, Bill, know what kind of electric atmosphere we should expect Sunday at Arrowhead, knowing that this is going to be the first time that they've hosted a conference championship game in the longstanding history at Arrowhead. The problem I have here is the inexperience of Kansas City against the Patriots' pedigree. Now, I know what history says. Tom Brady on the road, nothing to write home about, only a 3-4 record compared to 20-3 at home. And Sunday will mark a streak of 67 straight games started by Tom Brady, where he will not be listed as the favorite, and the first time since the 2013 AFC Championship that New England won't be a postseason favorite, breaking a streak of 11 straight in that regard. Now, ultimately, the Chiefs have the more talented roster. I love what they have at the running back position. Damian Williams has filled in admirably for Kareem Hunt, and he's going to have to because Hunt accounted for more than 400 yards from scrimmage and 4 touchdowns the last 2 times Kansas City took on New England. Defensively, Kansas City can get after you with alarming regularity. So if the Patriots aren't getting decent gains on first and second down, it's feeding season for Justin Houston, Chris Jones, and everybody else on that Chiefs defensive line. However, this is a New England team that's really reestablished their identity since about week 12, averaging over 150 yards per game running the football. Sony Michel showing why the Patriots had so much faith in him, drafting him so early out of Georgia. Ultimately, I think it comes down to the effectiveness of the Patriots ground game, the us against the world mentality. And while everybody wants to take Kansas City under the blue moon there in Missouri on Sunday night, I'll make a case for the Patriots being live underdogs plus the 3.
This is why I need you, because my kids were born in Kansas City. I know the owner of that Chiefs organization. I wrote about the Chiefs. My heart was trying to get in the way of my head. All right, so Patriots. The other game is tough, too. I mean, the Saints have never lost a home playoff game with Drew Brees and Sean Payton as a tandem, but we all know what the Rams are about. Every other organization in the NFL trying to hire some Sean McVay lookalike or a guy who once shook his hand at a bar because McVay's pretty good at what he does. Who do you like in this game?
Well, this game is taken on so many different angles. You look at the number here, and it actually suggests that the Rams are the better football team if you account for nearly a 3.5 to 4 point home field advantage at the Superdome, knowing how electric that environment's going to be on Sunday. But at the same time, you break down some of the particular matchups, and I ultimately think it comes down to, Bill, the Rams' ability to establish the ground game with C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley against this Saints defensive front that's second in the league stopping the run, only allowing a shade more than 80 yards per game. Now, you do lose Sheldon Rankins, who was second on the team with 12 tackles for loss, but I don't think they lose anything from their run-stopping ability without Rankins. He had more impact on the team's ability to get to the quarterback. And why is that so important? Jared Goff, under pressure this season, has produced a passer rating sub-60, and that's going to be a bit problematic. We know the offense hasn't looked as dynamic as far as throwing the football is concerned since they lost Cooper Kupp, but Robert Woods has filled in nicely. You look at what Brandon Cooks has been able to do. I think the Rams have to get that play-action component going to keep this Saints defense off balance. Now, on the other side of the ball, since Aqib Talib came back in the fold about week 13 for the Rams, this defense has shown marked improvement. They've cut their points per game from about 30 down to 17, and I think it's allowed them to focus a little bit more on the run. We saw last weekend where LaMarcus Joyner came into the box, sold out to stop the run, and the Cowboys didn't have much in the passing game. Well, the Saints, they have a little bit more as far as vertical threats are concerned. Michael Thomas, I don't think will be anywhere close to the numbers he produced. So keep your eye on Ted Ginn. They need to hit a home run or two over the top, open up some of those windows for Drew Brees to throw into. And you mentioned the Saints and what they've done with this tandem at quarterback and head coach. I think that magic continues. The Saints go marching on into Atlanta, and they cover as a 3-point favorite.
All right, I'm riding with Todd Fuhrman. I'm riding with the Bet the Board podcast. I'm making every bet you just walked us through, and you are the man, Todd. May all your bet be winners, buddy. Thanks for the insight.
Always a pleasure. Enjoy the games this weekend. And Bill, be thankful you're not at Arrowhead covering the game with single-degree temperatures. You get to watch from the confines of home.
All right, thank you to Todd Fuhrman. Good dude, knows his stuff, and thank you for hanging out and being here on the show, Writer's Block on CBS Sports HQ. I'm Bill Reiter. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Network taking over, continuing. We got Sportsline in 30 minutes.